My dad faked his, stole my identity, and ruined my life. Then I discovered the secret so dark, it almost cost me everything. I was halfway through heating leftover pasta when the doorbell nearly ripped me in half. 3 loud, aggressive buzzes, and not a neighbour, not Amazon. The kind of ringing that says open up or we'll open it for you. I almost didn't answer. It was 8:42 p.m. on a Monday. My brother Jose was upstairs gaming, screaming at someone through his headset about holding me. Mum was at work. Dad was supposed to be 3 states away. Supposed being the key word here. I opened the door. 2 men stood there. Dark suits. Clipboard. Dead eyes. Ronald N? Yes. One of them didn't even blink. We're here regarding your outstanding debt with First National Recovery. Final notice. Balance due. $183,742. I laughed. Out loud. Like a crazy person. You've got the wrong guy. They didn't laugh. The taller one slid a stack of papers into my chest. Hard. Sign acknowledgement of receipt. You've been served. I looked down. My name. My social security number. My address. My signature. Except it wasn't mine. Not the handwriting, not the email, not even the middle initial. But legally? Apparently, it was all me. I must have stood in the doorway for 5 full minutes before I realized Jose was behind me. What's that? Nothing. Go upstairs. It doesn't look like nothing. I didn't answer. I walked straight to the kitchen table, sat down, and stared at the paperwork like it was going to change if I looked hard enough. Has 2 notices. Loan contracts. Credit cards I never opened. A mortgage application denied because my debt-to-income ratio was extremely unstable. Except I rent. I drive a 2012 Honda. I've never even financed a coach. My chest tightened. A buzzing filled my ears. Identity theft? Fraud? Scam? Maybe. But there was one detail on the application that froze my blood. Emergency contact. Bolt M follower. Phone number ###-2164. My father's number. The same father I hadn't spoken to in 6 months. The same father I promised myself I'd never let hurt me again. I called him. He picked up on the second ring like he'd been waiting. Ronnie. That voice. Smooth. Like nothing in the world could touch him. A dad. Silence. Then, casually, you got mail. I stopped breathing. He knew. He knew before I said anything. What did you do? A tiny laugh. Like this was all some big joke. You always were dramatic. Something snapped in me. I have collection agents at my door. They handed me over $180,000 and what did you do? His tone changed. Cold. Chop. You should be grateful. I swear my vision blurred. Grateful? You stole mine. I don't even know how much my identity. It's just paperwork, he said. My credit was shot. Yours wasn't. I needed it. I was shaking. You ruined my life because you needed IT. Watch your tone. There it was. A command. The old voice. The one that made me flinch as a kid. Something inside me, something I'd been holding back my whole life, rose up. No. My voice came out lower, quieter. Not a shout. Something worse. No, actually, you're going to tell me everything, right now. He didn't answer. Then, click. He hung up. I don't know how long I sat there. At some point, Jose came down and hovered in the doorway. You okay? No. But I nodded anyway. He didn't bite. He walked over, grabbed one of the papers, squinted. Why is Dad listed as your emergency contact? I didn't answer. He flipped another page. Bro, did he do this? My throat was dry. Yeah. Jose stared at the table. Then he whispered, you know he's been acting weird lately. Mom said he... Don't, I snapped. He went quiet. For a moment. Then, what if this isn't the worst of it? I looked at him. What? He swallowed hard. I overheard him on the phone last week. Thought he was talking to Mom, but he wasn't. He was talking to someone else. He said something about running before they find out. A chill ran through me. Find out what? Jose shook his head. I don't know. But I don't think this is just about money. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table until the sun started bleeding through the blinds, rereading the same documents like the words would rearrange into sanity if I stared hard enough. $183,742. Then another account for $22,980. Then a business loan for $75,000 defaulted. All under my name. Every hour, like some kind of sick clock, my phone buzzed with new calls labelled unknown or debt collector. I didn't answer. Not yet. At 6:13 a.m, Mom came home from the night shift. Still in her faded blue scrub top, hair-frizzed, smelling faintly like antiseptic and cheap coffee. She saw the paperwork before she saw me. Ronald? Her voice trembled. I tried to play it off. It's fine, just mix up. She didn't buy it for a second. She shuffled through the stack, eyes widening. Why is your father's name on these? That was the moment something changed in her face. A realization. Then shame. Mom. I swallowed bitterness. How much do you know? She closed her eyes. That told me everything. You knew. Ian. She set the papers down softly. Your father, he told me he'd fix it before you found out. The quiet in the room turned toxic. You let him do this to me? Her gaze broke. She backed away like I'd hit her. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. She flinched. Then I saw it, the same fear I'd seen as a kid. The same quiet submission. The years of living under him had turned her into an accomplice. I wasn't even angry anymore. Just hollow. By 10 a.m., my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Meet me tonight. 7 p.m. St. Mary's Chapel. Don't tell your mother. It was him. A church? Really? Like this was supposed to be some holy intervention. I stared at the text for a full minute before typing back. Fine. 7 p.m. St. Mary's Chapel was the kind of place where silence felt like a command. Old stone walls. Wooden pews. Candles flickering like secrets. My father was already there. Standing near the altar. Back straight. Hands clasped like he was about to give a sermon. He turned as I walked in. And for a moment I saw him not as my father but as a stranger who had stolen my life. Brawny, he said, smiling like this was a reunion, not an ambush. I didn't sit. What do you want? He exhaled. To explain. Explain how you destroyed my credit, or how you forged my signature, or how you knew and didn't care. His jaw tightened. I did what I had to. No, you did what you wanted to me. His eyes hardened. I didn't think you'd understand. Well, trust me, I don't. He let the silence stretch. Then he spoke. You think this is about money? I froze. He smirked. Money is just a side effect. A side effect of what? Before I could speak, he pulled something from his coat. A document. He held it out. I hesitated, then snatched it. It was an email printout. From County Coroner's office. Subject, confirmation of death certificate, filing Paul M. Date filed 4 months ago. Status approved. My hands began to tremble. Why the hell are you filing a death certificate for yourself? He stepped closer. Because officially I'm dead. I stared at him. My voice scraped out. Oh. He didn't flinch. I had to. Why? He looked around the chapel. At the walls. The cross above us. Then he leaned forward. Voice low. They're looking for me. The world tilted. Who? He smiled. People who don't forgive. The air turned thick. Dad, what did you do? His eyes calm. Too calm. I survived. I felt sick. This isn't survival. This isn't. He stepped closer. Do you want to stay angry or do you want to live? I moved back. I want my life back. He shook his head slowly. You don't get it yet. He lifted his hand, placed it on my shoulder. His voice dropped into a whisper. If they come, they won't ask who you are. They'll just see my name. And they'll. You instead. For a moment, I genuinely forgot how to breathe. His hand still rested on my shoulder like he was offering comfort, but it felt like a shackle. I pushed it off. Who are they? He didn't answer. He just looked at me, like I was supposed to understand. Like I was supposed to accept this insane reality. That's all you're giving me? I said. Steal my name, destroy my future, and when I demand answers, you give me some cryptic movie line about shadowy enemies. His jaw flexed. You think this is a game? I think you're a coward. Silence. Then, for the first time since I walked into that chapel, I saw it. Not anger. Not manipulation. Not superiority. Fear. Not for me. For himself. He looked down at his hands. Slowly unclasped them. I noticed they were shaking. My father, the man who used to scream in my face without blinking, was scared. I never wanted you involved, he said quietly. Too late. He nodded. Then he said something I didn't expect. You remind me of my father. I scoffed. You haven't spoken about your father in 20 years. Because he was worse than me. That made me pause. My father, he continued, was a common charmer, criminal, the kind of man who could walk into a room and leave with everything that wasn't nailed down. He shook his head. We moved every year, new state, new name, new story. He taught me one lesson: there is no such thing as stable, only safe and unsafe. I crossed my arms. So your childhood sucked, so what? Plenty of people don't turn into professional fraudsters. His eyes snapped up. I didn't want that life. I laughed bitterly. You sure worked hard to keep it. His voice cracked. Just once. It never stops once it starts. That hit different. I swallowed. Tell me the truth. Everything, now. He exhaled like he'd been holding that breath for years. I ran cons with him when I was a teenager. At first just petty scams, fake checks, then bigger one. He got greedy. We hit the wrong person. Someone powerful. Government adjacent. My stomach tightened. What happened? He disappeared. They didn't find him. They found me. He went to prison? No. He shook his head slowly. Worse, I made a deal. He looked right at me. I've been working off the debt for decades. Favors, jobs, things I don't want you knowing. I thought I was out. I was promised I was out. His hands clenched. But last year they came back. My blood ran cold. Who? He almost whispered it. FBI. The echo of those 3 letters bounced through the empty chapel. He continued. I was supposed to do one last thing, just to pass off courier work, but I knew what it really was, a setup, deliver the package, disappear in chains, or a body bag. So you ran. He nodded. And you took my identity with you. His face hardened again. I wasn't going to risk my name. My fists tightened. So you used mine? I thought I'd fixed it before you noticed. You ruined me before breakfast, Paul. He flinched at his own name. I never called him that to his face. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind me. I turned. Jose. Standing in the church doorway. Eyes wide. Pale. How long have you been there? I asked. He ignored me. He walked past me straight toward Dad. No hesitation. Then, plop. The sound cracked through the chapel like lightning. Even my father froze. Jose's voice was shaking, but deadly calm. You stole his life. You lied to all of us. You're not our father. You're a parasite. Dad didn't move. Didn't speak. Jose's hands were trembling now. I stepped forward, ready to pull him back. But Jose didn't look at me. He leaned in, inches from our father's face. If anyone comes after my brother, you better hope they find you first. Dad blinked. For a moment pride flickered in his eyes. Then it was gone. The fear returned. Without a word, he turned and walked toward the side exit of the chapel. Where are you going? I called out. He paused at the door, said turning back. Home, before they do. Then he was gone. I stood there, heart pounding, not sure whether to chase him or burn the whole place down. Then Jose spoke. We need to get home, now. Why? He swallowed hard. Because I think they already found us. We didn't even speak on the drive home. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white, headlights slicing through the dark like warning beams. Jose sat stiff beside me, staring out the window, breathing fast like he was trying not to panic. When we turned onto our street, I saw it immediately. A black SUV, parked 2 houses down from ours. Engine off. No lights. No one in our neighborhood owns a vehicle like that. Jose whispered, they're already here. I almost kept driving. Instinct told me don't stop. Don't go home. Don't make it easy for whoever was in that car. But my mother was inside. I slammed on the brakes, skidded into the driveway, and jumped out before the car even fully stopped. Ronald! Jose shouted behind me, but I was already sprinting toward the house. I didn't knock. I kicked the door open so hard it banged against the wall. What? Silence. The living room light was on. TV playing some low-budget crime show. Her favourite mug on the coffee table. Steam still rising from it. I ran toward the kitchen. Empty. Then I heard it. A quiet, muffled sob. Coming from down the hallway. Mom's bedroom. I pushed the door open slowly. She was sitting on the edge of her bed with our father standing in the corner. I froze. Jose caught up behind me and instantly tensed when he saw him. Dad lifted his hand slowly. I didn't break in. She let me in. Mom wouldn't meet my eyes. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in one day. They're outside, Dad said. 2 men. They didn't come to talk. My throat went dry. Then why are you here? To protect you. I let out a bitter laugh. Protect me from what he caused? He didn't argue. He just walked slowly toward the window, peeking through the blinds like a hunted animal. They're watching the house. Are they FBI? Jose asked. Dad hesitated. Not exactly. What does that mean? They used to be. That didn't make me feel better. He turned back to us. They want insurance, something I took that I never gave back. I blinked. What did you take? Dad looked at me, then at Jose, then at Mom, and I swear to God I've never seen someone look that guilty. He spoke quietly. I didn't just steal your identity, Ronnie. My stomach twisted. What else? He swallowed. I took Jose's too. Jose's face drained of colour. What do you mean you took mine? Dad closed his eyes. I sold it. Silence. Jose was shaking now. You what? Dad stepped forward like he was going to calm him down, but Jose recoiled. Don't touch me. Dad's voice hardened. I didn't know what they'd use it for. You sold your own son's name to criminals. He didn't deny it. He didn't even try to justify it. He just whispered it was either that or disappear for real. I lunged. Jose grabbed me before I reached him. No, he shouted. Not now. I pulled back, breathing hard, shaking with rage. Dad spoke again, quietly. They're not here to collect money, they're here to erase loose ends. If they find out you two know, they won't leave anyone alive. Mom whispered, voice trembling. So what do we do? Dad turned to me. I need to leave, right now. If I could, maybe they'll follow me instead of coming inside. I stared at him. Everything in me wanted to scream go and never come back. But then I looked at Jose. At Mom. At the window were two shadows sat quietly in a black SUV. And I knew. This wasn't about forgiveness. This was survival. I spoke without looking away from him. If you walk out that door and run, I'll call the police. I'll give them everything. We were fake. The identity theft. All of it. He didn't flinch. The police won't get here in time. Maybe not, I said. But they will hear the sirens. For the first time, I saw him hesitate. Then, he stepped closer. Slowly reached out not to touch me, but to offer something. His car keys. Basement in the wall. Behind the tool rack, there's a lockbox. Take it. Everything you need is inside. Everything we need for what? I asked. To disappear, he said simply. Then he turned. Walked to the door. Opened it. Looked back once. I'm already dead, but you don't have to be. Then he stepped outside. The door shut behind him. We stood frozen. 1 second. 2. 3. Then outside. Screech. Tires burning rubber. The SUV roared to life. Headlights slicing across our windows. They didn't come inside. They were chasing him. Jose whispered, barely audible. Is he saving us or just buying time? The rest of that night passed like a fever dream. We didn't sleep. We couldn't. Every time a car door slammed, every time tires hissed over asphalt, we flinched. Mom's phone kept buzzing with news alerts. Jose sat at the kitchen table, hunched over a laptop, scanning news sites for any hint of my father, anyone who looked like him. I kept checking the lockbooks Dad had left us. Every time my hand brushed the cold metal, I felt a pang of disbelief. Inside the lockbooks were things I never imagined I'd see. Stacks of documents, fake ID, passports, and a couple of unmarked USB drives. I lifted the first drive with trembling hands. Jose leaned over. You think this is proof of everything? He asked. I didn't answer. I plugged it into his laptop. Files populated the screen. Names, bank statements, contracts, correspondence, and then something that made my stomach turn. Photos. Surveillance. People we knew, even our neighbours. My father standing behind them, watching. Every snapshot precise, almost casual, like he wasn't trying to hide. Jose gasped. Ronnie, he's been doing this for years. I stared at the screen. My father's crimes weren't small-time fraud, not petty cons. He had identities, bank accounts, shells, lies he'd created and destroyed across decades. Every time I thought I'd seen the worst of him, another layer appeared. Okay, I said, voice tight, we need to call the police. Mom shook her head violently. No? You don't understand that they're dangerous. If they find out, they will. Dude. Jose glanced at me, eyes wide. So what do? We can't live like this forever. I swallowed, hands trembling. We play along, we cover our tracks, we make it look like we're still normal, and then we gather everything. Mom started crying. Not the quiet sobs I was used to from her, but full, heaving tears that shook her body. Ronnie, I should have seen it. I should have protected you. I should have. I stepped toward her. Mom, no, it's not your fault. This is on him. Jose pointed at the USB drive. And we can't let him keep doing this, not to anyone else. I nodded. That night, we planned. We copied every file, every document, every email. We learned the aliases, the connections, the shell companies. We even traced some of the accounts to our small steps, but it felt like progress. By dawn, exhaustion had set in. My mother fell asleep on the couch, curled under a blanket, still trembling. Jose and I stayed up, watching, waiting. I realized then that my life as I knew it is stable, predictable, was gone. Permanently. But there was a thread of hope. A path forward. A way to untangle the mess. 2 weeks later, we went to the police. We didn't just report identity theft. We brought the files. The photos. The bank statements. Everything. At first, they didn't believe us. A man using his adult son's identity, being chased by shadowy people, it sounded insane. But the evidence was overwhelming. They took everything. Questions, interviews, background checks. Officers even mentioned a decades-long criminal investigation linked to Paul M. I felt my knees weaken. All of it, the fear, the sleepless nights, suddenly had context. After that, things moved faster than I could process. Protective measures were put in place. My credit was restored, but the financial damage lingered. Collections removed, accounts closed, but emotional damage. That would take longer. Jose became my anchor. We spent hours together in the logbooks room, talking about every file, every lie, every manipulation. He was the one who kept me from spiraling completely. Mon tried to recover too, but I could see the strain, the guilt, the relief, the fear etched into her every line. One morning, as I brewed coffee, I realized something important. The fear hadn't completely gone, but it had shifted. It wasn't just fear of Dad anymore. It was fear of complacency. The world was bigger and darker than I wanted to see, but had survived. And surviving, I realized, wasn't enough. I had to rebuild. Slowly. Step by step. From the ashes of stolen identities and ruined trust. I didn't know where Dad was or if he'd ever face justice. But for the first time, I understood that my real life was mine again. And maybe, just maybe, I could finally start living it. Months passed. Life didn't magically return to normal. My credit was repaired, accounts restored, but there were cracks that never fully healed. Every knock on the door, every unfamiliar call on the street made me flinch. PTSD doesn't announce itself with sirens, it whispers in the back of your skull. But there were victories, small ones. Jose and I set up security cameras. Every account we had was monitored. I changed passwords, emails, phone numbers. Mom finally started sleeping through the night without clutching the blanket like a lifeline. One afternoon, I received a letter from the police. It was brief, formal, almost clinical. Paul M. has been located in another state, investigation ongoing, no further information at this time. I felt a mix of relief and dread. Relief that he was finally caught or at least tracked. Dread because the story wasn't over. Not really. I looked at Jose, who was sprawled on the couch, controller in hand, gaming like nothing had changed. But I could see it in his eyes. The same weariness I felt. We had survived together. That had bonded us in ways I hadn't expected. For a long time, I didn't talk about it. Not with friends, not with coworkers. Most people couldn't understand. Your dad stole your identity, and faked his own. And is being chased by unknown people. They'd laugh nervously or change the subject. So I didn't tell them. Only Jose knew the full story, and sometimes it was enough. I did, however, start writing. Notes at first, then a journal, then long-form narratives. I wanted to document the chaos, the fear, the betrayal. Not for revenge. Not for notoriety. But so that if anyone else stumbled into a similar nightmare, they'd know they weren't alone. Mom joined in, cautiously at first. She started volunteering at a community centre, slowly reclaiming her confidence. Watching her rebuild herself reminded me that survival wasn't just about staying alive, it was about reclaiming your agency. I realised the lesson wasn't just about Dad. It wasn't just about identity theft or stolen money or terrifying secrets. It was about boundaries, about understanding that some people, even family, are capable of horrifying betrayal. And that protecting yourself doesn't make you cruel. One quiet evening, I sat on the balcony with Jose. The city lights blinked below us, and I realised I hadn't panicked in hours. Not really. I felt tired, yes. Weird, but safe for the first time in months. I never thought I'd see the day, Jose said quietly, tossing a pebble over the railing. Where it's just normal. I nodded. Me neither, but normal's not boring, it's freedom. And for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I believed it. We're still cautious. The files from the logbooks are locked in a secure digital vault, monitored by law enforcement. I check my credit obsessively. I still flinch at unknown numbers. But our life is ours again. Sometimes I think about Dad. About what he did, what he became. About all the chances he had to stop to be a father, to protect his own family. I don't forgive him. Maybe I never will. But I understand, at least, the twisted logic he clung to. And understanding, in its own way, is liberating. We have hope now. Real hope. Hope that we can rebuild fully. That we can trust Ian. That the shadows he left behind won't define us. It's not over, and maybe it never will be completely. But we've survived. And that is enough for now.